Hello everyone, let's talk about blackbody radiation and the ultraviolet catastrophe. To give some background, the electromagnetic spectrum is the ranges of different types of radiation, such as gamma rays or X-rays. Visible light is a kind of electromagnetic radiation, as it is just photons that have a wavelength in the range of 380 to 700 nanometers. A blackbody is an object that emits thermal electromagnetic radiation. The wavelength of the radiation emitted is a continuous spectrum and only depends on the temperature of the object. This is what causes hot objects such as lava to glow, as they've reached a temperature where they emit a significant amount of radiation in the visible light range. Now, let's talk about the ultraviolet catastrophe. Classical electromagnetism predicted that for hot objects, the intensity of ultraviolet radiation would skyrocket towards infinity. However, once we were able to measure the intensity of radiation emitted from black bodies, we saw that this is not the case, and that classical electromagnetism's predictions were incorrect. So the failings of classical electromagnetism to explain the intensity of ultraviolet radiation was called the ultraviolet catastrophe. In 1900, Max Planck theorized that energy isn't continuous. Instead, he quantized energy by saying it was a discrete amount of some minimum amount of energy. The way this equation worked was that the energy of a photon was equal to some integer n, multiplied by a constant and its frequency. Since n can only be an integer, when n is equal to 1, it represents the minimum amount of discrete energy a photon is carrying, as no fraction of the minimum energy can exist. By using his idea of quantization of energy, he derived Planck's law, which accurately described the electromagnetic radiation from a blackbody and solved the ultraviolet catastrophe. As for the outcomes, the ultraviolet catastrophe was very significant because before it, physicists had theorized that we had learned everything there was in physics, and all that had remained was more and more precise measurements. However, the ultraviolet catastrophe showed us that there was still a lot more we did not know about physics, and it led to the creation of new fields like quantum mechanics.